Welcome back, guys. Couch Surfing Podcast, Season 2, Episode 23. What is that? Jordan? Kobe? Jordan.
Kobe's 24.
That's right. Kobe's next.
He was 8 first.
Oh, really?
Then he raped a girl, so he had to change the number.
Oh, what the... What?
Allegedly.
Rest in peace, Kobe. Damn. What? For real?
It was like... Again, allegedly. I think it was consensual, and then she tried to go back on
Get some money?
Yeah.
Got it.
Because he was famous.
Bad. All right. Well,
side tangent.
That's where you got to videotape yourself every single time you do it.
Exactly.
And get video consent before you start.
Video consent.
Uh-huh.
That's a good
Before,
idea.
during, and after.
Life lessons.
Exactly. Well, speaking about life, we're just going to do a little bit of a life update this episode. Talk a little, maybe a little surf talk, maybe a little crypto talk, life,
Work.
topics.
My work, mainly.
Yeah. So
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. What do you want to start off with?
Let's start off with my work.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to work through this in my head, and it's been a hard time.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, we have, I don't know how much, just a recap for anyone who's new. I work on a hemp farm. It's about
new viewers.
20 acres total. It's about probably somewhere anywhere in like 12 to 15 acres of actual field that we plant with hemp.
Okay.
And we've had much failure and a little success.
Really?
In terms of like, so there's 3 main plots that are each about 3 to 4 acres each.
Okay.
So that's why I say it's about
Yeah, okay.
12 acres or so, give or take. And the first 3 acres we direct seeded autoflowers, which for anyone who's unaware, autoflowers are typically smaller plants that automatically turn to flower. Photoperiods switch back based on the night cycle, so after a certain amount of hours of dark they start to flower. It's sort of like basil, any annual plant. Anyway, we're planting these autoflowers because it's supposed to be a better idea to get more harvest per year, which is better for farmers so that they don't have all their money tied up in one crop that could or couldn't fail. So in theory, good idea. Well, in practice, not so great. So each one of these seeds is very expensive, anywhere from 50 cents to $1 a seed.
Oh.
And we're talking 15,000 seeds per each one of those 3.
Oh my gosh, you got like $45K.
Of seeds, which is absurd to me. And this isn't even the crazy part yet. So just about none of those worked. So we're basically saying that like 45 grand pissed into the soil.
Why did none of them work?
Because it's a lot of different things. Some of it is that when you're direct sowing into the ground, you need a seed bed that is very conducive for just that seed. Like you don't want it competing with anything else.
Yeah. And
I can go on and into this for a long time, but basically our method of tilling the ground and then hilling into like the strawberry bed style beds, and then planting into those isn't the greatest idea, because everything that you till up is basically chopping all the roots up and then what's called propagating it into like 1,000 plants.
Yeah.
So you create all this competition. And we're organic, which means that we don't use herbicides, pesticides, anything like that to beat weeds or bugs or anything, in that nature. So we are weed whacking, and we weed whack all summer long just for these plants to really not work out. But the third field, we planted photoperiods. And when we planted them, they were very rough, in my opinion. Like, they had sit in 56 cell trays, which means that, like, the amount of dirt is, like, maybe a little bit bigger than a quarter, maybe a half dollar. And then, like, 2.5 inches deep, tapering down, and you just whatever, plug it. I planted those seeds before we planted the first 3 acres at the greenhouse. So I planted those seeds about a week before we planted those first 3 acres. Then we planted another field. Then we planted the third field on the sides, and then we transplanted those seeds that I planted into the ground. So these plants were in these small cells for well over a month, and they were very tall. They didn't have a whole lot of branches, and they had very few leaves. And with photoperiods, though, it's okay in a way because you're not on that ticking time bomb. With an autoflower, as soon as the seed opens, it only has so many days before it's going to be done. Whereas a photoperiod, if you kept it inside, you could grow a plant literally forever, almost, as long as it has enough soil and whatnot. So we transplant these rough looking plants, and they ended up doing really well. The good thing is that we planted them in July, and in July, toward the end of July and August is when a lot of plants start going to flower in this area, because our night cycle gets long enough that it triggers flowering. So these plants were more of a longer or a shorter night. Is that right? They needed longer night cycles than normal, so they didn't flower as early as some of the other plants that I was growing. And they got big. I mean, they were at
I saw the pictures.
They were at 4 foot spacing, and they were all touching each other, meaning that they're probably about 6 foot wide and about 6 foot tall. But we are next to 2 farms that grow. One grows right now corn, and the other one grows soybeans. And corn has a lot of caterpillars that go after it. Yeah, because it's a very, I guess, easy sugar source for these caterpillars.
Yeah, that's yours, right?
Yeah, that's ours. So we've been struggling with these caterpillars toward the end of the season, because when you have these big buds, they'll get into the flowers, and then you can't really see them, and then the flowers start to turn brown, and then that can start to mold. And
caterpillars getting high?
Yeah. No, they're not getting high. They're just destroying the flowers. So when you have 4,000 plants, though, it's not as big of an issue, because there's so many plants, and when they're that big, they can't eat the entire plant.
They can't get it all.
Whereas those autoflowers, the ones that did make it, were only this big. So when you only have a cola like this, and you get one spot of brown, and then it starts to mold, and then it molds the whole thing, you lose the whole plant. So that wasn't necessarily the issue with the autoflowers. The issue was germination and such. But the photoperiods, we got tested on the day after Memorial Day, so on the Tuesday. And the way it works is, as soon as you get a compliance test, you have 30 days until you're allowed to harvest in. And after that, you have to get another test, and then you get another 30 days.
Yeah.
But the part of the issue, which isn't that big of an issue, but it's something that you have to think about, is these tests aren't cheap. They're cheap compared to the amount of dollars that we threw away in seeds. But for the greenhouse, it's a few $100 to $1,000, maybe even $1,500, depending on how many different cultivars you have to test. Luckily, we only have one. That's all the same cultivar in that field. So
cultivar, does that mean what type of?
Yeah,
it is,
what most people call strains.
Strain. Yes, yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah, strain.
Okay. So we got that tested, that Tuesday, and the one guy at work was like, we need to start harvesting, because one, we have 4,000 plants to harvest, and there is me,
Not that
2
many
other
guys.
full-time employees that are at like more so my level, a head grower, and then another intern, and then another guy who sort of floats around. He does more so like warehouse and shipping, but he needs hours, so he comes to the farm when there's really nothing else to do. And then there's the head greenhouse grower. So we are dealing with these caterpillars, like been dealing with them for a while, like we've been finding them. We can spray biological stuff like BT, which is a bacteria that if it's eaten by worms, basically kills them. Yeah.
Okay.
But
does nothing to the plant, really.
Yeah, it's a bacteria, and it's naturally occurring. And there's also another naturally occurring bacteria that we were spraying with it, that if a caterpillar eats the bud and then it starts to rot, the mold itself gets eaten by this other bacteria to try to stop the molding process.
That's good.
And all this is organic, since it's just bacteria.
Yeah.
But one dude's like, we need to start harvesting because some of these plants are more mature than others, and we have so many that we need to do and not that many people. We should be sort of planning for this.
Yeah, you got to plan around the amount of manpower you have.
Yeah.
With the size of crop you have, you're like...
And if you can't tell from all the other things that I've said, like, there is almost no planning that goes into anything. And it is blowing my mind, because I'm supposed to be an intern getting business advice, like how to do this, and this, like marketing, blah, 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 blah. And not even that I haven't seen it, but you don't even have it for your own business. Yeah. Like, what in the world is going on? Yeah. Like, why would I want to learn from... I guess I'm learning what everybody says. It's like a running joke. Learning what not to do.
Not to do, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, it's insane. So, we didn't start harvesting, not last week, not the week before that. We started harvesting today. So, Mondays and Fridays, I go to the greenhouse. And we, last week, set up, like, these... nets to hang in the greenhouse. The greenhouse is on one side, it's 3,000 square feet, and then there's a 3,000 square foot warehouse on the other side. So we're taking probably close to 1,500 square feet of that warehouse and trying to make it a drying area.
Okay.
And that comes with a whole host of issues. Bringing
temperatures and stuff. What are you doing? Like,
they have mini splits. They have I think 3 or 4 mini splits in the 3,000 square foot warehouse, so it keeps it like temperature controlled, and they can turn them down. And then what we did is we put tarps. So believe it or not, tarps actually insulate pretty well in terms of like keeping it cold on the one side of the tarp and not cold on the other or whatever. But you're bringing in, like I said, we have all these caterpillars, and we have a full grow going on in the greenhouse, which is just partitioned by like not plexiglass, but the rigid clear like roof for like a greenhouse. And it's supposed to be sealed, and we've gone through and caulked and done a lot of work in the last month to prepare for this at the greenhouse. But you're bringing caterpillars into the room next to a room that is about to start flowering. So it's like, part of me is like, that doesn't really make much sense, but...
Gotta keep them separate.
Anyway, but there's nowhere to dry 4,000 plants, because there's no plan. So then we get these pallet racking last week to put at the warehouse. So we also have a warehouse that has a very small lab, and then some storage for some of the beauty products, and then like a small office space. But the warehouse itself isn't temperature controlled. So I'm a little confused on what the plan is with that, but what I was told is we're going to build these racks, pallet racks, and then run like bars over top and then hang those nets like I was talking about. And they're going to go, I mean, it's like probably 20-foot ceilings. I mean, they're tall. So I guess they're hoping that they can fill the entire warehouse. But if you don't have it temperature controlled, like,
what's it gonna...
and you already have rot on your plants, like, it's just going to exacerbate this problem. So I don't see that working out either, but we'll see what happens. But the most frustrating thing about it was, so I go to the greenhouse and we finish, putting those tarps up and stuff, and then the greenhouse guy's like, hey, like, they only have 3 people at the farm. They have the head grower and then the 2 full-time employees. The other intern didn't show up today. And then the other guy, the warehouse guy, was working on a box truck that's sitting behind the greenhouse to get it up and running, to use that to transport from the farm to the greenhouse, because it's not very far. So we basically all got put on hold on what we were doing. Everybody go to the farm to harvest. And we get there, and they have harvested, I'm not joking, 10 plants. Because the way that they were doing it was like they were harvesting them and then peeling off some of the leaves and obviously trying to get some of that, like, bud rot areas out. And, like, when you do it on a very small scale, you harvest, turn it upside down, put it in a room that's 60 degrees, 60% humidity for 16 days. And that's, like, quality dry. So when you're dealing with 4,000 plants, you can't do it that way. It's just not possible. So we basically this morning are, like, trying to figure out, how are we about to harvest 4,000 plants over the next however many days we have until, like, the beginning of October, because that's when that compliance test runs out, and then they're going to have to get another one. And they were trying to not do that at first. But we're going through these plants, and they had 3 people go through, like, 10 plants in a few hours. The one guy calculated it. He was like, this is going to take 30 days. And he was like, that's just not going to work. So, whatever, like, at this point, I'm not even, like, I'm just sort of frustrated that I had to go from one place to another, because it's not that you need different clothes for the different places, but, like, when you're told you're going somewhere and then it, like, changes.
Just for this.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like, and I've gotten smart. I bring everything I need, because this has happened a couple of times before now. So, but we're sitting there doing our thing, and the boss man comes out and he's like, this is too slow. Like, stop doing this and that. Like, just go faster. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, blah. He's always like, pedal to the metal, gas, gas, gas.
Just
like,
cut it all down.
Yeah, go fast. Without, like, sort of sitting back and actually looking at, like, okay, like, what's the problem? How are we going to solve it? Like, what are we trying to achieve? And, this is right around 11 o'clock. So at this point, we've filled up a truck bed, and they're going to take it over to the greenhouse. It's lunch, so we get an hour lunch. So everyone goes to lunch, and the head grower and the boss man go to the greenhouse. And I'm the only one at the farm. So I eat my lunch, and then I'm on my phone, and then I'm, like, tired. So I put my head down and take a nap. And someone pulls up, and it's one of the guys who went to lunch and has come back now. And the boss man and the head grower are not back yet. And I'm like, if it's taken them all this time just to hang these plants, I mean, we're talking an hour, just to hang these plants in the greenhouse. We're talking, like, maybe 15 plants. Yeah, like, maybe 15 plants that they had to hang up. Because we were cutting branches and making them smaller because they were worried that all this weight was going to be too much for these nets. So they get back, like, 5 minutes after this dude shows up from lunch, and we were just sitting there, and the boss man's like, what are you guys doing? Not, like, in a mean way or whatever. He was literally just like, what's going on? And we were like, well, we just wanted to make sure that we were doing the same thing as we were doing before, because to us it doesn't seem like it's gonna work. Like, this is too slow. There's no way we're gonna finish this. And he's like, yeah, we talked about this on the drive. Like, we're going to switch it up to doing, this way, whatever way it was. And it was basically just we were going to cut them, not take off any leaves, try to get whatever, brown off that we could, and cut them so that they had hooks more so. So, like, if you had a stalk and then a branch, you would cut the stalk in half and then cut it there so that it'd be like a hook and the branch. How could I put it? Like, if this is your stalk, and
this is the stalk.
It'd be more like this. So this is the thumbs of the stalk, and these are the branches. You'd cut it so that it'd be like that. To cut the stalk in half, and then you have a stalk like that, and then you can hang it on the neck.
Okay, got it.
So we were cutting them like that, and that is a good idea, great idea, because it makes it faster to hang them up. It makes it so you have something to actually hang them on. We're not taking off the leaves, so that's less time, and we're just trying to get whatever brown off that we can. And, I mean, we get through, like, again, maybe 15 plants for the rest of the day in a few hours. And the boss man comes back out, like, around 2 o'clock, and he's like, this isn't working. Like, he's like, you could tell that, like, reality, like, he's actually thinking about this now. He's like, holy, like, where are we going to put all this? What are we going to, like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like...
Was he not expecting to yield this much?
Well, I don't think he, like, expects anything. Like, I don't know how the heck his brain works, because, like, if it was me, because, like, even me now, like, I cannot stop thinking about... We've had how many months that 4,000 plants have been in the field? Like, they've been in the field for 2 months plus, like July or whatever. Like, you haven't once sat down and actually thought about what...
Logistics of where everything's going to go.
Where it's going to go. Like, how are you going to chop these down? Like, you have 5 employees that work on the farm regularly, if that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. And it's, like, driving me crazy. So, he's, like, talking about it out loud, sort of, just like, this is going to take this long and this and that. And then he's like, we only have 10 business days. And then the guy who was talking about, like, that it was going to take 30 days, he was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. He's like, that's like 6 weeks then, because 30 divided by 5, 6. He's like, oh my gosh. So we're like, it's hitting him. Like, we're not going to be able to harvest all this before this, compliance date. Yeah. So we're going to have to get another compliance test. So he's like, all right, we'll get another compliance test. So then he's like, we're going to fill the greenhouse, and then we'll fill the warehouse, and then we'll get another compliance test, and then we'll bring all that stuff down and bucket, and then we'll have more room for the rest of the stuff from the new compliance test, and we'll put it back up. And, like, I'm sitting there like, all right, let me get this straight. You think that us 5 are going to harvest 2,000 plants in the next 10 days, and then in the next maybe 10 days following that, bring it all back down and bucket all into containers, and then in the next 10 days harvest the rest of those 2,000, like 10 business days is what I'm talking about. And then hang those back up, and then, we'll be good because we'll have enough time we won't have to buck that next set again. I'm like, we have to build the pallet racks because they just showed up last week or whatever. So we have to literally put them together. We have to, set everything up to be able to hang things in there. And then we have to harvest all these plants. And then you expect us in a week or 2 after that to take them all back down and chop all the buds off of them. Like, I just don't understand what's going on. So at this point, like, I'm frustrated. Yeah. Visibly. I'm like, I'm starting to yap. I'm like, I'm talking to everybody. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'm about to freak out. Like, I'm about to go insane. And at the end of the day, I don't know what he was saying, but he was talking about something, and he was just like, he's like, this is fucked. And I was like, you're right. Like, the boss man. He's like, he thought I was joking. I don't know what he exactly said to me, but it wasn't anything like, he was more like questioning. He was like, what? And I was like, no, like, I'm being 100% serious. Like, you're 100% right. Like, this is fucked. Like, what are you doing? And everybody's like looking everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, what? Like, they're just so surprised that I'll talk to somebody like this, and I'm like,
it's not working.
Like, I have never been the person who is scared to just say how it is. Yeah. Like, if we're all here and we're all talking about it behind his back, but now he's here and you don't want to say it, like,
say it.
I got no problem being like, you're right. Like, what are you thinking? Like, what's going on? And, like, he's the type of person, though, that, like, I think he hears it, but he just, like, continues moving on. So he just, like, kept walking away. Like, we said what we said, and then he walked away, and it wasn't, like, any this or that. It was, like, we said what we had to say, and that was it. Yeah. And then he walks away, and everyone's like, whoa, dude, you're crazy. Like, you can't be saying stuff like that. I'm like...
We all said it a minute ago, but before he was here.
I literally looked at them all. I said, listen, I'm not full-time. I have nothing to lose. Like, what's he going to do? Fire me? And what? Then he has 4 people to do the whole thing? Like, and it's because I care. Like, you guys just don't care enough to say how it is. Like, I want this to work for everybody. You guys are just here to collect the money. Like, this is frustrating for me because, like, this is important. And, like, should be done right. And, like, I'd love for it to be done right. But I just, like, I don't know. I can't imagine running a company and just not having any plans whatsoever. Just being like, let's throw $100,000 worth of seeds into
Where's this guy get all this money from?
His father and the Battens were... who got together to do the Weather Channel and the Virginia Pilot.
Okay.
So, from what I understand, is his dad was more so big on, like, a lot of the analytics of how to make that really work.
Got it.
And they made it happen. So.
Okay, that explains it. That's just crazy that
but
all this stuff is not, like... Yeah, you would think before you even start, like, even before you start sewing... You literally, like, you graph schedule it out. Like, okay, this week, this needs to be done, this week. Like, you do it literally on a weekly calendar of, like, what things have to be hit week by week.
And like, here's the thing. They were planning on having 3 fields. Yeah. Not necessarily of plants that big, but 3 fields worth of product. Like, what would they have done with all? They can't even handle 1 field.
What's this guy do? Like, what's the plan? Also, once it's all harvested and dried and stuff, like, where do you sell it?
So, that's the thing. So, it's not actually going to be like flour. Like, it's going to be extracted into like beauty products.
Yeah. Who does he sell it to?
He just sells it online, and like that. I think his specialty is more so being a CEO, not somebody who...
A production farmer.
Yeah. Where, he talks to, marketing, this and that, and he can he handles a lot of the...
He needs an operation
business. Guy. Yeah, a lot of the business more so style stuff really well. But a lot of his time is, I feel like, in meetings, trying to promote product and things of that nature, but you're going to be promoting something that you don't have anything to feed into because there's no plan. And it's just like, I don't know, like you're saying, some of the things that I've listened to and read, like the number one thing you do before you plant a seed in the ground for like hemp and marijuana is like, where you're going to dry it. Because that's like that's the make or break almost. Yeah.
Because it's 50% growing and the 50% like processing.
Harvest, and so I don't know, man. It's like I was out there today like going crazy.
Why don't you try to set a meeting? Well, so that's what we talk. Why don't you just ask the guy to literally, hey, like, can we talk? Like, can we sit down and just, like, talk and, like, I just want to, like, see, like, where we're going and what your thoughts are, just so we can, like, get an understanding, because, like you said, like, things aren't going the right way, so we got to figure out where we're going here.
And, like, it's
not working.
No, for sure.
And you know it. We all know it. But we don't. But you don't necessarily we. You said, but I don't want us to fail.
Yeah.
So, let's talk. Let's break it down.
I think part of it is, like, that's just how he's always done things. So, like, even with, like, the garden aspect, the one guy who's been there for basically the entire time that he's had the business, he's like, this is just how he does things. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, but this might not be the place for me then, because I can't sleep at night with that. Like, I can work for you. I can do my own thing. I'll have my own plan, and I'll do my own stuff. But this thing where, like the head grower even, like, I don't understand how he doesn't think more about it than he does. And I know he has a lot on his plate in terms of, like, all the demands that come from the CEO trying to, like, tell him how to do his job when, you know, the head grower knows much more
than him
about how to make this work than he does. Like, the head grower said we should get a hops dryer, like a big, giant, massive hops dryer, rent it, and it'll dry the flower in 24 hours. Since it's for extract, it doesn't really matter that it's that quick dry. And then you can process it so much quicker.
Yeah.
But we don't have a hops dryer.
How much is one of those? Like a couple grand?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much it would be to rent versus buy.
Yeah.
But one way or another, like,
24 hours sounds nice.
It's a viable option to get lots of material in there, dried, and out.
Yeah.
And then
which
done.
Sounds like y'all need. Y'all need space.
No, exactly. So it's like you could harvest, you know, a few hundred plants, have them dried 24 hours, dump that stuff out, harvest another few hundred plants, have that dried, and then you could get it done in a few, maybe 2 weeks.
And if it's going well, you see, you can then up it and get another one too. And do it double. And, you know, you're renting. Yeah. Now, the cost may hit you, but at least you're get everything done on time and stuff like that. What you need and
exactly
yield everything, get everything, and you avoid the testing and all that crap too.
Mm-hmm. So then I'm sitting out there. Well, that was at the end of the day what I had just said about him, like me and him going back and forth for a minute. But before that, I said something like, "Do you plan on processing all of this in the lab that you have?" And he was like, "Well, we're going to need some new toys for that." And I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I just need to raise like $700,000. And I'm like, that's what I mean. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, we can't get a hops dryer to just dry some flour real quick, but we can raise $700,000 to get some new equipment for the lab to process all this. Like,
that's interesting.
It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I need your help to tell me what I need to do. No.
I need your help, America. I need your vote.
No, but it's just like, as you can tell, I'm like, it's wild. It is wild. And now we have to go in at 8 o'clock tomorrow instead of 7 because we have to wait for the dew to subside. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Like,
it's been pretty dewy in the mornings.
But, like,
there's not other shit for y'all to do, though, if you got there at 7?
I think they just want to
build those racks? Or the pallets?
Yeah, build the pallet racks. But I don't know. And then on top of that, we have a $12,000 garden that we're putting in somewhere that we were going to be putting in on Wednesday and Thursday. And that's the other thing. He was out there when I was asking him about the lab and stuff. I said, so I take it we're not doing this $12,000 garden that you wanted to do on Wednesday and Thursday. He's like, no, fuck that guy. We're going to push that to like October now. And earlier in the day, when me and him and the other guy were out there, he was like, we're going to go there on Thursday. I said, the three of us? He's like, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, it hit him all at once. Like, holy crap, we have to harvest this field. And I don't know.
Sounds like y'all also just need more people, man.
We need more people that want to sit down and talk and think about problems and how to fix them. That's the thing. Like, we don't really...
I'll set a meeting. I'll come out.
We need something.
I'll pose as a weed consultant person, an expert on logistics and ops.
But yeah, man.
I'll wear a suit, buy a business card, and I'll only have one copy of it. Business card. Okay, I have them. No, sorry, I only am. Only brought one.
Only for the big man.
Yeah. I'm gonna need that back, actually. Take a picture of it.
Take a picture, too.
Well, damn. You weren't joking that you got a lot to say.
I did have a lot to say, man. I don't know. It is wild. Wild.
I think you just literally just need to text you and be like, yeah, like even if it's like, I don't know, if you want to do it, like, on my lunch break, can we just talk? You can literally just talk about, like, what's going on and where we're going. And
can I rant to you for 36 minutes?
Can we plan on, like, what's going on and where we need to be and how we're going to do that and if it's going to be possible.
And, like, that's the thing.
And
like,
stick to the plan. Stick to it. That's the key thing is you make a plan and you can make, like, 1 to 2 tweaks, but you got to stick to it. You got to see it. That you can't just keep making tweaks here and there unless you, like, obviously, like, 100% know, like, this part of the plan is, like, not working.
Yeah.
But, like, you got a
you're
little
right.
time to get, like, process happen.
And that's I think part of the thing that's really frustrating me in a way is, like, I feel like over the last few years, a year and a half, 2 years, like, everything that I've read about, you know, not necessarily growing, but just planning and, like, how you should do things and, like, not necessarily interact with people, but how to make everybody's life easier by talking about things and creating solutions and situations that are beneficial to everybody. It's like, we don't do any of that.
Really?
And, like, every part of me, I swear, like, I just want to be like the dude texted us, we're coming in at 8 or whatever, wait until the dew subsides. I just want to be like, fuck you, I quit. Like, good luck. Like, I am so over it. But at the same time, that's just not who I am.
I mean, how much more of the season do you even have, though?
Not much. So that's the other thing.
Like, are y'all going to be kind of done in, like, a month or two?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is sort of like the last hurrah.
Yeah, it's like November 1st, you all should be kind of, like, kaputs, right?
Yeah, but they're going to have so much... Like, they've already talked about they have so much stuff they want to do at the farm, like getting, like gravel pads and making ditches and things, and, like, a lot of the decisions that they're making for reasons that I think are short-term solutions for long-term problems. And they don't want to fix the long-term problem. They just want the short-term solution. So, like, they want to dig a ditch to help with drainage. But the drainage isn't the problem. The problem is your soil sucks because you don't want to do the right thing and build actual soil that retains water and doesn't, like...
The water's on top.
Yeah, exactly. You need more organic matter in the water, or more organic matter in the soil to hold the water and release it when the plants need it, not straight sand and clay that just...
Yeah, just...
So it's trying to get... It's the same thing, too, like getting the farm in March and trying to get this awesome harvest and this and that out of it year one. It's like, good luck, man. We're seeing how that's working out.
Yeah.
But that's my rant on work.
God damn.
I know, man.
God damn.
Sarah heard it too. Now she gets to hear it a second time.
You tell Sarah to just go ahead and skip to minute 40.
She will. Yeah, man.
Well, have the conversation with them. I think you just need to do it.
Yeah, I need to just figure out, like, I think the way that I'll probably start it is like, hey, man, can you, like, make this make sense for me? And, like,
where are we going with this?
Yeah, like,
what's the direction we're heading?
Help me understand.
What's the vision?
Because I'm going insane. And then I'm going to be like, listen, I'm not sure I can do this if this is how things are going to be. So, let's figure it out. But.
Well.
Let's talk about
I hope it gets better.
It'll get better. I mean, at the very worst, I'll quit and it'll get really good.
It will get really good. It will get really good after that. Well, we'll switch it over to Surf Talk.
Surf Talk.
Surf Talk. Once again, I have gone to WRV to look at surfboards. Why, you may ask? Because it fucking brings me happiness.
It brings me happiness.
It makes me happy to see it. But I guess I just want to talk about. So I went to WRV, looked at a bunch of shortboards, which surprisingly, like, I've really never gone into like a shortboard, so I was just looking at the longboards, and then that one mint green board, like I was like, oh, that one's so nice, but now it's gone.
Oh really?
Yeah. They have one that's just like it, but it's 9.4.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, that's a wee bit big. More than the 9.2
long.
guy.
It was 2 inches.
Hey, man.
My wife would say a lot.
So I took pictures of a bunch of them, but I guess I just want to talk to you about tails.
Yeah.
What are tails? So a bunch of different shapes of tails: pintail, round tail, combo tail, round square, squash square, star tail, diamond swallow, fish tail. I don't know, asymmetric.
Oh, asymmetric. It's okay.
Moment of silence for my vocabulary. Moment of silence, please. Wings X, flyers, and bumps. That's like just some. I'm sure there's obviously like fucking more. But what's like the breakdown, would you say, like of these and stuff? Like I saw a majority of them. Like I don't know. Where do you want to start in these? Obviously, you're the surfing expert here.
You tell me where you want to start. You
I guess. Okay. Well.
What tail brings you the most happiness?
Well, that just looks cool. I don't know. The Wing X looks pretty cool.
Let me see the Wing X. Is that...
That one's like that one, or like flyers, which to me looks like this. At least what I saw at WRV. Yeah. Wing with the swallow. Wow.
So...
Epic. I guess let's start here. What is the difference between a pintail, which is kind of comes into like a point on the back, versus a round square or like a squash? Pretty much something that comes here and then it's like not so much 90, but it's flat on the bottom.
Yeah.
What's your difference there?
So
I have an idea, but
it's different. Basically, what the tail is doing when you're riding is whether you have more or less tail
surface coverage.
More or less is gonna turn harder, or I shouldn't say harder, but turn more easy or less easy. So a wider tail turns less easy than a narrower tail.
Okay.
So like a pin tail is better for much more like whippy turns.
Okay.
Whereas a wider tail is going to be more like rounded turns and like more
flowy.
Yeah.
Smoother ride, like something like that.
Yeah.
Not so much cuts and stuff.
Yeah. And then not only that though, but if you have a wave that is very steep, a wider tail is going to be harder to probably handle in a steep barreling wave as opposed to a pintail, because when you have that pin here, you have an edge right on your tail. Mm-hmm. So when you're going down the line and the wave's like this, your tail sort of locks into the face and you're not going to like fall down. So it helps in like barrels. Whereas a wider tail, the board is like, since it's wider, it doesn't do as well in that sense. It wants something that's a little bit more softer and more mellow.
So then explain to me the difference then between the pintail, which was the first one I talked about, then like a fishtail, like swallow, that has like, it seems like it has pretty much the same width as like the squared round or squash, but it does have the 2 points that cuts back in.
So the thing about all those tails is they're all what I would say like similar in a sense and different. So like that's why I would break it down into like narrower tails and wider tails.
Okay.
And then from there you have things like you're saying like the swallow or the fish, and it sort of just gives you a little bit different feel in the sense that like you have that similar to like a did you say it was similar to like a squash but then like V'd or the pin?
So no, well I'm saying what's the difference between, so like so the pintail is like all comes together at a point, but then the fishtail looks like the same kind of width as the round like square one. All that's difference is that it comes to 2 points and then cuts back up.
Yeah.
But it's still the same amount like distance where the pin is like keeps going in the whole way.
Like with that, the fish in that sense, it would handle better in more performance style waves than the squash tail would, but not as good as the pin. So it's sort of that like in between because you're taking out some of that volume in the tail.
Oh, okay.
And there's two like points can sort of be used to like maneuver as well, like to cut the water
back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you have what type do you have like majority of?
The majority of boards are somewhere between like a squash and a pin, like a squashed out pin, I'd say. But I have a fish. I have one that is a little bit more pinned out, and then so I have one like a rounded pin. I have
that's like what I have. I would say is a rounded pin.
Yeah. So the rounded pin, I have a board that has a swallowtail. I have a fish.
The swallow and fish look pretty similar. I think the swallow is just a wider, less aggressive cut in, but in the fishtail is definitely like more narrow and more aggressive on the cut in. It looks like
the picture isn't as good. Like fishes usually have like deep points.
Yeah.
Whereas a swallow is more like whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
But I'd say most tails are more like that combo tail where it's like sort of squashy, but like sort of like a rounded pin tail or a round tail. Those are just the more good for everything type of waves. They'll be good in like whether it's mushy waves or steeper waves. You can sort of maneuver them.
What about these wing X, these flyer things like this one like that cuts in that way like.
Yeah, it
has a bump
down.
in and then it goes into a swallow.
So that can help with like sharper turns as well, because instead of keeping that wider tail, it drops it down. So like, let's say your foot is above where that little jut in is.
Yeah.
Imagine going to turn with it jutted out and smaller versus when it would be wider. Having a smaller tail is gonna be easier to turn. Okay. So it sort of gives a wider board an easier turning pivot.
Okay.
As opposed to keeping that wide tail and having that slower turning pivot. But honestly, like even you can notice the difference between boards, but it's not like that extreme. Little juts really, to me, do a ton.
Okay.
You would have to ride like the exact same wave so many times.
To then feel the difference.
And then, like,
try that board. Yeah.
Try boards.
And ride that still that same way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, like, I can see there's a little bit of difference here.
But when you, like, switch from board to this wave and then
every way's
a month
different.
later,
yeah.
and then you go, like, it's like, I don't know, I have trouble really telling.
Obviously, I was there just looking at every single board, loving it. Took a bunch of photos. But I did see a board, and then it made me think I saw a guy also. That was interesting. Like, obviously, stomp pad in the back. But these people have, like, flat stomp pads, like, in the middle. Like, they don't have any wax. They just have stomp pads only. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I have thought about trying that on a surfboard.
Sounds really nice for my ribs, to be honest. Okay. Side story. I pretty much went out surfing, or tried to go out surfing. I went 4 days in a row. Went Friday afternoon, Saturday with you, then Sunday, and then Monday. Dude, it was like a full week till it wasn't a muscle sore. It's my ribs like stick out so much right here. It was literally like the edges of my ribs were like bruised.
Yeah,
that's like what it felt like.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like
the
I don't have part. It right now, but like, no, you like, I don't know why, but for like the first, let's say I go all summer without surfing, and then like hurricane season comes and I surf like 3 or 4 times, I get that, and then like after that I don't really feel it anymore. But I think it's just. I think I hear what you're saying with, like, you think that would help pad it.
Yeah, maybe it would pad it. But
I'm not sure.
I mean, it's literally that like, thick.
Yeah.
You know? It's not like I'm sitting on a pillow now, Like, it's not like actual cushion.
It is funny, though, because, like, people don't realize. You wouldn't think about, like, laying on a surfboard like that would really hurt your...
It does.
Oh, it does.
It does. It's an actual workout. It's a workout to lay on a surfboard. Not even just the paddling aspect, but literally just the arching and head up will, like, fire my, like, back delt, like, traps and stuff, like, and, like, down my spine. Like, doing like this.
Yeah.
Like, paddling, like, looking up.
Head up, chin up.
Head up, chin up, and then paddling. Bro, I was, like, on fire. I was like, what is going on? I, like, get out there, I'm like, nah, I just do this. Like, head down. I'm like, good God, I need a neck brace out here.
That is so funny.
I need a neck brace just to paddle out, keep my chin. I need to put like a pole on my board that just props the chin, so I just keep doing this. It's just nothing.
Oh my God.
But yeah, there was a board I saw at WRV that had. What do you even call it? Like, a stomp pad is obviously in the back, but do you also call it a stomp pad or like a flat pad or like
I don't know what you would exactly call it. You could just call it like a front foot stomp pad, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
not sure.
But those are pretty cool design because Grace like, all these boards are so boring. Like, they're all just like white and everything. I'm like, yeah, but you can get a stomp pad. You make it look cool with your stomp pad, and then. You can, then I saw that you could do another color like on that one. Like, then I was like, some guys they put stickers on there. So I would never put a sticker on mine.
No,
I don't think I could.
I don't think get sponsored.
No, yeah, not till I get sponsored. But yeah, I was just like, I can't do that. Yeah, I guess they are kind of like basic. I mean, just white with a little bit of that logo there, and then all these boards have these nowadays. What the hell is that? Like, all these boards at WRV, and even some of the just like off-brand stuff. Like this one over here is not even WRV, but it has like.
I'm not sure.
The Mayhem didn't have, which I thought was a pretty nice board. Their Mayhem one, this was a 511 Mayhem, which gave almost 38 volume. I mean, it's so wide.
What size was the?
This is a 511 Mayhem. As the shaper, it's R and F. It's a 38.
It's a WRV Mayhem.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. That's interesting.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. That'd be a Swallow, I guess.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I'm not sure what those black lines really are. I don't know if they're help for like reinforcement on the rails for like if you stomp really hard on your like heel or toes, depending.
Yeah, just some of them had it. I don't know what it is, but I don't know.
Could just be design.
Could just be a nice little design to make it
A little bit different.
Just keeping it like white. But yeah, I thought that Mayhem was pretty dope. But the Mayhems are a wee bit expensive.
Oh yeah.
I was like, "Who?
Oh yeah.
Might as well get a longboard right now."
It's because
What is Mayhem and everything?
I think it's a shaper.
Yeah, it is a shaper. I didn't know. Like,
he just like, I think he got really big with like Lost. I think he shaped a lot of Lost.
it's like 'cause I feel like I've seen him shape other boards,
Yeah.
or like other like not WRV boards.
No, he.
But I do like this guy, this shaper, Paul Mearham.
Paul. That's his name, Paul.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm pretty sure the P stands for Paul. I think I looked him up. It's Mulherm or something. But yeah, this board, I mean, like I said, with it being used, I was like, I could probably cap that 5 at 11, but it'll still get rock me like 500. I was like,
Dude.
God damn.
You want to know what's crazy?
But no, what is crazy, really quick though, is I could go get not the other Mayhem one, but I could go get this Happy Hour one that I liked, or even the Doyle Stingray one for the same price as that used one that was out there.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna brand it, like, I guess people, if they want that, like, they don't want like a Swallow or Stingray, whatever.
No, I was just gonna say what's crazy is like Todd was like basically like not starting to surf, but surfing for Bob White, the guy who started WRV, or sort of started WRV, and then the other guy, I can't remember his
Before
name.
he went crazy. Remember his story?
Yeah. Yeah, before he went crazy. But it's just like so interesting to me that like he was surfing on like the Bob White surf team and like all that back before WRV was even like a thing. He could have been like in on WRV.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. But then I also was like, obviously I like WIB board stuff, but then it felt good as I definitely want to try out your board a little bit more, the LibTech one, or just like any of those like short boards, just to get more of a feel for it. But then there's a shaper guy that I follow down in like Wilmington, North Carolina. It's like and stuff. Boards just look clean.
Ty Johnson shapes his own boards.
I know, yeah. I remember you telling me about that. Like, it's cool. This guy on Instagram, he, like, today he, like, picked up, like, 8 blanks, whatever, and all different, like, you know, sizes and different shapes of, like, what he ordered. They're already kind of, like, rough cut out. Okay. Is, like, what it is, like, the blanks. But he, like, takes a picture. I'll show you.
Yeah, so, like, a lot of the times, I think shapers will get, like, a blank and cut like a rough cut out.
So like he got 8 fresh blanks, and that's like, that's like what they look like. You can see like they're just rough cut.
Triple stringer longboard.
But what the guy does is everyone like it's all just this guy obviously shapes out of his house, and people like order the board from him and stuff, and what I like because I looked into it because you show your entry in a board, you do like a video call with him about like what you want, like how long you've been serving for, your skill level, like what type of board design, you want any special things on it, different colors, all this like different stuff, and then he orders it and you pay like half the board, but then he tagged each like person like that's like okay, like he would have tagged you like that's my board, and then he's like so now he's working on like these boards now for next like a couple like 2-3 weeks or whatever. Probably only 2 weeks, and he turns them around pretty quickly. But then and then you pick them up.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, the guy I don't know, I just like his like board stuff. It just seems pretty cool. I'll show you them later.
No, definitely.
But I'm like, man, I'll get one of him. It's like do it. But what sucks is like I get it because it's like what's it called? Not mom and pop shop, but pretty much, single man shaper, so his prices are kind of the same as like if I just bought like a WRV like board like here. But You know, are his boards nicer? Maybe. Do I have more control to do what I want with his board? Because I can tell him, like, I want it like this, this, and that. So is it worth it? You know?
It's interesting how, like, they're really, like, I guess once you start getting over, like, $500, like, whether a surfboard's $500 or $700, it doesn't really seem like that much difference. But, like, there really isn't much price difference in surfboards a lot of the times. Like, surfboards are, like, $600.
I would say starting price of surfboards is, like, $500.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much. And from 500 to 1,000 is a surfboard. That's, like, the surfboard range. Yeah. That's your surfboard right there.
And then, like...
I said, like, WRV, not, like, the 9.0s are $1,000.
Yeah.
And even the 11.0s they have were $1,100.
Yeah.
$100 more to get.
You can get some pretty expensive longboards for sure. Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah. You said double something, right?
Like there was a triple string.
Yeah, he does a triple one this one was pretty cool.
Yeah. That
he had made. I thought that was interesting. But I don't know anything about that. Like, I've never even seen one that had, like, you said triple strings, and I thought this guy had, like,
That's a double stringer.
He did a double. I thought they only make them in ones.
So it just makes it stronger.
Yeah.
In a sense. And, like, there's boards nowadays that are made with no stringers.
Really?
Yeah. It's just like a strip of wood that goes between the foam to help it not break in half.
Yeah, but I thought that was pretty cool.
That's a pretty big board.
It's 9.6.
Yeah, I could tell.
That he made. But the guy was down in Wilmington, and obviously as soon as I told Grace that, she was like, well, maybe you should get a board from down there. We can go down there and pick it up, and then stop by all of, like, One Tree Hill or whatever. Like,
that's right.
Like, something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's One Tree Hill.
One Tree Hill, probably.
Yeah.
That's where Sarah wants to go.
Yeah, we can then stop by all the One Tree Hill places and we pick up your board. I was like, okay. That works.
There you go.
So, I don't know. I'm just getting more into it. I'm glad I took a freaking break, though. Like, did all last week, and I'll do, like, all this week. I'll go back surf on, like, Saturday or maybe, like, Friday afternoon with you. But, yeah, my tennis elbow. I just got to make sure that, like...
How's it feeling?
I know, like I said, it doesn't hurt after I stop, like, surfboard. Once I stop surfing, after, like, 3 or 4 hours, it's gone.
Gotcha.
But I just gotta... I don't know if there's, like, stretches I can do, like, beforehand for tennis elbow or something, or if I should just maybe try to ice it before I go surfing, or maybe just pop, like, 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol before going out. Preventative pain, you know? I'm all about that stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. I gotta figure out something, because... If it comes back, like, instantly, that's gonna put a damper on things.
Yeah.
That makes it a problem, because I can only surf for, like, honestly, like, an hour max before like it's, like, kind of unbearable. Yeah,
that sucks. Hopefully it's not a problem.
Yeah, I think it's all healed up, and like I said, it literally hit. Like I said, for some reason, the wave went over me, so my body lifted up, but the board was still down and slipped up. And as it slipped out, I grabbed it like this, and something about the jerk motion just got it. So weird. But we'll see. We'll take it a little bit more easy on it. Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that was
Christian work update. Christian's rant.
Literally.
Christian's work rant, or Christian's way to make work better is what it was. And then a little bit of surf talk in there, because this is the Couch Surfing Podcast. So, you know, we'll have to throw a little bit of, maybe we'll start throwing some surf trivia in here every now and then.
We'll have to start talking more about surfing.
Yeah. I don't know. Grace says I'm getting obsessed. She's like, it's becoming your life. I'm like... You don't know the half of it.
There could be worse things.
Yeah, exactly. I said, long I'm into heroin or something. Like, does it give me the same feeling? Yes. But yeah, no, I am also. I'm looking forward to put it on, like, my wetsuit.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, because I only got to wear. I've only worn it twice since we bought it. So it'd be nice to get some more money out of it.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be.
And I'm sure I'll be able to here, honestly, within like a month.
Oh, for sure. Because after the storm comes
Or 2
through,
weeks. As soon as like October hits, I feel like it. I feel like once October hits, I'll be like able to use it if I really like want to. Like I can use it and be fine. Maybe like a tad warm.
Mm-hmm.
Where if I like don't wear it, I'll be like maybe a tad cold. So it's like, do I want to be just a tad cold or like a tad warm?
Yeah, it'll just be like whether that day is gonna be like
Temperature.
sunny and warm.
Yeah,
or cloudy and
cloudy
windy.
and like windy and stuff. Then yeah, definitely
Exactly.
not. So we'll see. But I'm definitely glad to get that one going.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that about wraps it up for Couch Surfing Podcast Season 2, Episode 23. Jordan episode. Catch us next week for the Kobe episode.
For the Kobe.
The Kobe episode. We'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.